Hey, what's up, everyone? Buongiorno. Buongiorno. All right. Viva Roma. So my hair's looking like this because you know what? I had to document and product package all of this myself. So I'm at 147 video logs. I've nuked all of them and all of it that never should have, etc., etc., etc. It's now at its eternal end. Viva Roma. And with that said, here we are. So I did 147 titles, descriptions, settings, and schedules of 147 video logs, and I'm not even done. But I said, stop for now. That's enough. Okay? All right. So this is video log 1. I'm going to try to be as in and out as I possibly can. It is now 3:08 p.m. The 27th of July, 2023 AD. Okay? This side. Viva Latium. Viva Athena. Viva Roma. Viva Italia. Viva Europa. Colombia. Virginia. Victoria. Estrada. Mutatio Formulae. That side. Side to side, front to front. Enough nonsense and craziness. Okay, so this is video log 1. So this is 2006. Number 1, there was my stadium arena rock band. And I was the lead singer, frontman, songwriter, composer, arranger, producer, even though I couldn't sing worth a jack back then. And I'm clearly not where I'm at now. But somehow we managed to headline throughout my upper Northwest DC, the District of Columbia. So with that said, long story short, in that time of 2006, I got linked to the career bassist of Michael Bolton. Michael Bolton sold 55 million albums worldwide and scored 9 #1 hit songs. He also co-wrote the song Forever for Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley of Kiss. Now, Michael Bolton's career bassist, David C. Gross, turned my original demo. Michael Bolton's career bassist turned my demo over to who at the time was his friend and partner or friend, Richard Goderer, the founder of SIRE Records. Richard Goderer is the legendary founder of SIRE Records, who signed Television when they were playing at CBGB's, and they were the first band to ever. Hold on here. I forgot. There's. Hold on, let me silence that. Okay. I had no idea that the Nirvana Bleach album was still on, and a song called Sappy live at Pine Street Theater kicked in. Okay, so let me pause that. Okay, so let me get back to me. Okay, so sorry about that. I'm back. So with that said, then Michael Bolton's career bassist turned my 2006 demo of Originals over to Richard Goderer of SIRE Records, who signed Television when Television debuted. They were the first band to perform at CBGB's Live. Okay. New York City, New York. So he went on to sign the Talking Heads. He went on to sign the Ramones. He signed the CBGB house band, the Dead Boys, as depicted in the 2016 biopic movie titled CBGB OMFUG. I'm Facebook friends with the drummer of the Dead Boys, Johnny Blitz. So, and the Dead Boys, lead singer and frontman Steve Baders was, I think, close to best friends with BB Buell, who was the number one most successful superstar model of the decade of the 70s. She dated Jimmy Page, Zoso of Led Zeppelin. Again, I'm elated and thrilled that I received 2 separate strict RSVP invites from the historic, one and only rock photographer daughter of Jimmy Page, the emperor of rock himself, of the kings of rock, Led Zeppelin. So I am incredibly honored, elated, and thrilled that Scarlett Page, Jimmy Page's daughter, reached out to me. Then I got an email from the gallery owner and content director of the gallery that's close to her photography studio. This is all in the last several weeks. I also got emailed by the head of Scarlett Page's photography studio team, all there in the center of town. So I can never express. I will follow through with them and Scarlett Page, of course. But, you know, just as soon as I got those invites from Scarlett, like all this stuff just started coming at me from every single direction. Like, I mean, like so-called, quote, obstacles. Yeah. As soon as I got those invites, like all this stuff came, and we all know me by now. I slayed it. I left an entire battlefield just filled with smoke, brim, and fire, and ghost spirits. Now, here we are. So with that said, BB Buell used to date Scarlett's dad, Jimmy Page, in the 70s. And she's the mother of Steven Tyler of Aerosmith's daughter, Liv Tyler, the star actress. So I remember when I was in New York City, New York, 99 to 2000, the bassist of Jesse Camp and the 8th Street Kids, who had put out an album in 1999 that featured Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac, the bassist approached me inside the legendary historic Pyramid Cafe and Bar on Avenue A in the Lower East Side of New York City, New York. And he took me to the Palladium, which I'd never been in before, and introduced me to BB Buell, whose band was performing that night. She was performing with her backup band that night. And I'm going to leave that one there. It was great, though. So Richard Goddard of SIRE Records signed the Dead Boys. Steve Baders was close friends with BB Buell in the 70s in New York City, New York. And then, of course, you have Lydia Lunch, who is the queen of 1970s New York City, New York's B-side punk rock movies and culture, and known as the forerunner of what was called, of the music genre, underground music genre called no wave. And interestingly enough, the former keyboardist of the underground punk group of the 80s, No Trend, a legendary underground punk group called No Trend. Interestingly enough, their keyboardist, Danny D, he was my recordist and sound engineer and mixologist for my demo of 2009 to 2011 after the band and I went separate ways. And I laid everything down. I laid everything down, whether it was keys or drums or guitar. And a local member of the local band of DC called 3LG came in and he plugged in and on the spot and laid down on the spot live bass. So this keyboardist of No Trend in the 80s, when they were active and touring and had a following, they did an entire album with Lydia Lunch. They were, I believe, on her solo album in the mid 80s, and she did an album. She was a part of their album on their independent label, No Trend Records. So, for anyone that saw Anthony Bourdain, Parts Unknown, CNN's last final episode called LES Lower East Side, it was Lydia Lunch that he interviewed at the very end of that episode. He spent more time with Lydia Lunch than pretty much anyone else in the entire last episode of Parts Unknown, LES Lower East Side. Also, January of 2022, I got a most honorable, thrilling Facebook message from the queen of underground performance art of the Lower East Side, New York City, New York, Penny Arcade, who was in Andy Warhol's movie Women in Revolt in 1971. And she was also in Andy Warhol's play titled Femme Fatale, in which she co-starred with Patti Smith. Patti Smith was also a regular local music act that would perform at CBGBs throughout the 70s. Okay. So this all goes back to Richard Goddard of SIRE Records, who then went on to sign Ice-T, the godfather of hardcore gangster rap. Then he also signed Madonna, who would become the queen of pop and is the queen of pop. So he's SIRE Records. I even think Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One were on SIRE, meaning a very good number of ultra hip-hop legends of hip-hop history, I believe, were signed to SIRE in the 80s. So anyway, so now to go back, redirect you. So, and Richard Goddard, founder of SIRE Records, produced the legendary historic album debut for the Go-Go's and IRS Records, called Beauty and the Beat, featuring songs such as Our Lips Are Sealed, We Got the Beat. I learned last year that the keyboardist, guitarist, songwriter of the Go-Go's was listening to Smokey Robinson's song Going to the Go-Go all day and all night. And that became We Got the Beat. Now, why is that fascinating in this web? Because in the same year of 2006 to 2007, I was linked up with the father of Smokey Robinson's 3 grandchildren, an ex-husband of Smokey Robinson, the mayor of Motown Records, and his wife, Claudette Robinson, the first lady of Motown Records, daughter, Tamla Robinson. So I got linked up with Sergio Ontiveros out of Beverly Hills, California, who passed away, unfortunately, January of 2022. May he rest in everlasting power, prestige, peace, harmony, and happiness, because he was one of the very first to sense and believe there was something about me that separated me from everyone in the world. And so we'll get to him, but you know, it's all in context, because We Got the Beat by the Go-Go's was inspired by by the grandfather of his three grandchildren's song Going to the Go-Go by Smokey Robinson. So it's all connected. So with that said, right. So Sergio Ontiveros, right, passed away January of 2022. And right, he invited my bandmates and I to come out in March of 2008 to his studio. I think it was in-house or not, to do a remix of my demo of Originals in March of 2008. But we're going to save that for his video log, which is not this. Okay. So anyway, now back to Richard Goddard of SIRE Records and Michael Bolton's career bassist. So Michael Bolton's career bassist listened to my demo and was so impressed with it that he passed it on over to Richard Goddard, the founder of SIRE Records. And Richard Goddard of SIRE Records said he wasn't interested in my demo. Why do I smile at that now? Well, lots of reasons. One of them is that in 1966, the same Richard Goddard was invited by, at the time, Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones' girlfriend to the Cafe Wah, I believe, to Cafe Wah, which I believe was in Greenwich Village, New York City, New York. And this is at the peak of the whole folk rock explosion out of Greenwich Village, before Laurel Canyon and West Hollywood Hills, Los Angeles kicked in with the psychedelic rock band, the Byrds, and everything after, right? But in 1966, Keith Richards' girlfriend invited the same Richard Goddard of SIRE Records, not sure if SIRE existed then yet, to check out Jimi Hendrix, who didn't go by Jimi Hendrix, because she put together a band around Jimi Hendrix called Jimi James and the Blue Flames out of Manhattan and possibly out of Greenwich Village. I think she first saw Jimi Hendrix play with either the Isley Brothers or Billy Squier and the Knights as a guitarist on stage in the Cafe Wah, as in the Wah pedal in Greenwich Village. But she was so blown away by this one charismatic, guitarist who had super charisma, that she formed a band around him. She even took one of Keith Richards' customized guitars with his name inscribed on the back because he couldn't afford a guitar, and gave him that guitar. She managed him, and she invited Richard Goddard to listen to Jimi Hendrix live and his band she put together called Jimi James and the Blue Flames, just like Michael Bolton's career bassist sent my demo and shared it with Richard Goddard of my demo. I don't know. I forget. I was still going by A Revolution of Beauty or Mutatio Formułae versus Mutatio Formulae. So then he said he wasn't interested in Hendrix. He passed on him. And I find that funny because You know, I just do, because I just corresponded back and forth via Facebook Messenger just several weeks ago to several months ago with Leon Hendrix, the professional singer, songwriter, producer, rock guitarist, touring musician, brother of Jimi Hendrix. And his band landed in my ancestral Roma, Italia, ancestral, racial, blood lineal. We're not doing any more of this nationality and its culture and community and the people of that country. Non-existent, BS, lunacy, craziness. Yeah, I said it because it is. So in my ancestral Roma, Italia, they landed April of this year. And then they had several dates booked throughout venues in Italia. One of them was Perugia. And I learned that Perugia sits between Roma and Florenza, from south to centro Italia. You know, like the country Peru, Perugia. Get it? Okay, good. So, Umbria, right? All that. So I was like, wow. Okay. So they did several dates in Italia, in that region of Umbria, Perugia. Then they went to Slovakia, what's called Slovakia. Then they went to what's called the Czech Republic. So we corresponded back and forth, and we're Facebook friends now. I shared my real, true, come to life Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band front to back album cover, assembled, amassed, live / virtual performance / studio projects production team. Okay. You know, Elvis Presley's former music director, and James Brown's former personal drummer, and Michael Jackson's former clothing, glove, and costume maker, and Bob Marley and the Wailers' former lead guitar player, and Whitney Houston's former background singer of the Bodyguard Tour, and the former official webmaster of the Catman of Kiss, and the lifetime videographer of the Spaceman Ace Frehley of Kiss, and one of the former producers for the Notorious B.I.G. Okay. Oh, by the way, this is an actual Brooklyn mint Biggie company-owned tank top. Biggie established a clothing line. The Notorious B.I.G., Christopher, he established a clothing line. It's his clothing line called Brooklyn Mint, as in a minted coin. Brooklyn Mint. And it still has the logo of the company, the brand logo of the company, on the back of my neck. So I have this on. So this is an actual shirt. This is Biggie's actual, from his actual clothing company. So he may have very well even designed this tank top. All right. I love you, Valletta Wallace. I love you, Wayne Burrow. I love you, C's. I love all of you, JM. I love you, Queen. I love you, the Queen Bee of hip hop, Lil Cam. I love you, Faith, First Lady of Bad Boy, CJ, Tiana, Big Naj, Nashim. I'm going to get back to you as soon as I can. I love you, Easy Mo B. I love all you guys, man. I love the whole Biggie team and web of the Notorious B.I.G. And I have nothing but crazy mad respect out of this world for his mom. I have nothing but love and admiration for that woman. I don't mean to refer to her as that woman. I didn't like the sound of that. That didn't sound good. I have profound respect for Valletta Wallace. Period. Okay. I think that sounds better. So let's go back now, right? So, yeah. So I'm going to get back to Leon Hendrix, certainly. Jimmy's brother. And I'm going to get back to Biggie's mom, Valletta. I'm going to get back to Biggie's mother, Jimi Hendrix's brother. I'm going to get back to Biggie's former producer, Nashim Myrick, who produced Big, Kim, JM, Nas. I'm gonna get back to Jimmy Page's daughter, Scarlett Page, the members of her team. I'm gonna get back to Jimi Hendrix's brother, Leon Hendrix, who, by the way, is a smoking ass guitar player. Leon Hendrix can play a mean electric guitar of rock and roll and rock. Truly. Okay. So, all right. So, I know this did not end up, this was supposed to be 5 to 10 minutes. And instead it's at 25 minutes. I do my best. Okay. So anyway, 2006. So let's cap this now. So, I get linked with Michael Bolton's career bassist. Check. He shares my demo of originals with Richard Goddard, founder of SIRE Records, who produced the Go-Go's debut historic legendary album, Beauty and the Beat. Okay, hold on for a moment. I've got a call here. I'm doing the first of vlogs right now. Yes. Okay. Okay. All right. So, okay. So Michael Bolton's career basis hands my demo of originals to the founder of SIRE Records, right? That signed Television, the Dead Boys, the Talking Heads, the Ramones, Ice-T, Madonna. I think even Boogie Down Productions and KRS-One. Okay. That Richard Goddard of SIRE Records also got turned on to Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, which was Jimi Hendrix's New York band in 1966. He turned Jimi Hendrix's band, Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, down. And the bassist of that band was Jeffrey Skunk Baxter. And Jeffrey Skunk Baxter is in a band now with one of the co-captains of my team, Robert Mousy Thompson, who was the former personal drummer of James Brown, the godfather of soul. And Jeffrey Skunk Baxter was a member of Jimi Hendrix's band, Jimmy James and the Blue Flames, that got rejected by Richard Goddard of SIRE Records. Okay, I know. You see how incestuous and intertwined all of this is? I know. It's amazing. It's incredible. And Jeffrey Skunk Baxter, who is a part of a current band with Robert Mousy Thompson, co-founded Steely Dan. And then after Steely Dan, he joined the Doobie Brothers and brought in Michael McDonald. Then he ended up becoming a regular featured guest of The Muppet Show, laid down guitar for Gene Simmons, the Demon of Kiss, for Celine Dion, for Elton John. And if you're a What's Happening fan like I am, What's Happening, the one of the greatest television comedy sitcoms in TV history. Raj, Dwayne, Rerun, Dee, Mama Mabel, Shirley, Rob. Okay. Long story short, the Doobie Brothers are featured in, I think, season 2, back-to-back episodes. You'll see Jeffrey Skunk Baxter there. He's the tall, really thin one with the yellow long hair and the big scruffy yellow beard and mustache with the glasses, playing what appears to be both rhythm and lead guitar, sitting right next to Michael McDonald, who's on the piano. Remember that scene when they perform at the high school? Right. Okay. So, what else? So Richard Goddard produced Beauty and the Beat for the Go-Go's in 1981. And I think he produced the second album, Vacation. If I'm correct. Is that the name of the second Go-Go's album? I forget. Wait. You have, gosh, how could I forget that? Yes. He produced the song Vacation and the Vacation album. And then they went with this a different studio producer for the third album, which to me is just as good as the first two albums. I think it's called Talk Show. But here we are. Okay, so this video is called my. Oh, one other thing. Gosh. I also discovered and found out from another one of my co-captains, who was the official who was the 10-year official webmaster, the co-founding drummer of Kiss, Catman Peter Criss, who is now the online store manager for the theatrical film poster artists of the movies Jaws 1975, Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back 1980, and Count Dracula 1970. And he also coordinates and is involved in events for Lita Ford of the Runaways, co-founded with Joan Jett and Sandy West and Cherie Currie, the Runaways, as in the biopic movie in which Elvis Presley's surviving eldest granddaughter, Riley, portrays the twin sister of the lead singer of the Runaways, Cherie Currie, in the movie The Runaways. I think that's 2012 when it was released. And he's also done that type of work for Hulk Hogan of Hulkamania. He formed a college rock band at the University of Miami, Florida, with his friend at the time, the son of Barry Gibbs of the Kings of Disco, the Bee Gees. And Michael Jackson, when he was alive, was the godfather of Barry Gibbs' son. And to my understanding, Barry Gibbs of the Bee Gees still resides in Florida. Now, when this co-captain of my team was attending the University of Miami in Dade County, he shared with me that his favorite instructor, who he was also strongly favored by as a student, was Rob Freeman. Rob Freeman co-engineered the Go-Go's album debut, Beauty and the Beat, under the direction of production of and by Richard Goddard of SIRE Records. And Rob Freeman didn't only co-sound engineer the Go-Go's album debut, Beauty and the Beat, but he also co-engineered the Kiss Ace Frehley solo album of 1978 that went platinum and featured the Spaceman of Kiss Ace Frehley's charted song cover of New York Groove. And when Rob Freeman co-sound engineered the Kiss Ace Frehley album of 1978, he did so under the leadership and direction of Eddie Kramer. And Eddie Kramer produced all of the Jimi Hendrix Experience albums. He produced and was the chief sound engineer of Are You Experienced, the second album, Acts as Bold as Love, and the third and final double LP album of the Jimi Hendrix Experience, Electric Ladyland. He also worked with Santana, with the Beatles, and he produced the Kiss album. He produced the Kiss album, Love Gun. And Eddie Kramer also produced, he also recorded Led Zeppelin live on stage, those two back-to-back nights at Madison Square Garden in May of 1973. He then took those live recordings to Jimi Hendrix's studio, Electric Lady Studio on West 8th Street in Manhattan. And he mixed and mastered the sound of what is the Led Zeppelin documentary movie soundtrack for The Song Remains the Same that was theatrically released in 1976. So this is all wrapped around me. You understand? Welcome to being Jorge Estrada, District of Columbia, DuPont Circle, Mutatio Formulae. Okay, so hold on. Ooh, almost done with this one. I thought I would be able to wrap this up in 5 to 10 minutes. Not. Hold on. Okay. Okay, so that was Rob Freeman, and he did Beauty and the Beat with Richard Goddard of SIRE Records, and he did Kiss, Ace Frehley, Casablanca Records, and Film World Inc. 1978 with Eddie Kramer. Now, the album that Eddie Kramer produced with Kiss, Love Gun, that came out the 30th of June 1977, featured the Van Halen brothers, as in the founder of Van Halen himself, Alexander Van Halen, and his brother on lead and rhythm guitar and keyboards, Eddie Van Halen. And I believe they were featured on at least one or two songs on Love Gun. Also, I want to go ahead and pay respects to a man and legend and great who was not only a historical figure, but a member of my team. The last time we spoke, well, he said in a conversation to me right here in this very vortex of a living room, Ken Kelly of Ken Kelly Art said to me on the 18th of March, 2018, which was 5 years and 4 months ago, Jorge, I'm all the way on board with you. No matter what happens, never stop. Don't stop until you get it all done, no matter what. Ken Kelly passed away the 3rd of June last year, 2022. So I want to shout out loud to Ken Kelly of Ken Kelly Arts, and may you rest in everlasting power, privilege, prestige, and peace. He was the head fantasy cover artist for Star Wars, for the 2 Kiss albums, for Love Gun and Destroyer, for the legendary iconic album cover for Rainbow, Man-O-War's mini albums. He also did fantasy art for Masters of the Universe, Godzilla, King of the Monsters, for Vampirella, the comic book series, for the comic books of Haunted, Creepy, for Haunted Comics, Creepy Comics, Eerie Comics. I mean, just, and I would say, I mean, he is at the very he is at the very top of the top. I mean, he was really, truly the uppermost, toppermost of fantasy cover artists of pop history and culture. I mean, strictly based on his resume, career, and history. So what an honor it was for me to meet with Ken Kelly, to talk to him on the phone. I remember when he and I had a conversation right here in this living room. It was on 9/11, 16. No, 17. It was on the 11th of September, 2017, and he and I spoke right by this large living room bay window. And then we spoke again, and then again, that 18th of March, 2018. But this nuclear mushroom cloud of epic, legacy, glory, majesty, power, magic, legend, record making, breaking, setting, nuking, amassing, assembling, it just turned into the biggest nuclear mushroom cloud you could ever possibly imagine in Earth and human and life history. That, you know, he's gone. But remember what he said to me. No matter what, Jorge, never stop until it all gets done. Now, let me show you his album cover real quick that he did. The that both Lydia Criss of Sealed with a Kiss, the ex-wife of Peter Criss, the Catman of Kiss, the author, the unauthorized author, publisher, and photographer of Sealed with a Kiss. You've got to check this book out. It is considered by pretty much most, if not all, of the Kiss army and of Kiss legions of fans all over the world to be the quintessential behind-the-scenes tell-all book. You know, when Kiss was Kiss, from 1972 up to 1980. Okay, let me go ahead. Let me show you real quick. For those who don't know, let me pull his album cover here. Here it is. Here we go, guys. There it is. Let me do this. If you're a member of the Kiss family, then this is no stranger to you. But for those, look, Ken signed. Look, that's Peter Criss. That's the Catman of Kiss right here. He signed this for Jorge Estrada DC. Here's Ken Kelly. And then turn it around. And between the two columns and letters of mine. Look at the Roman Latin columns, the arch, and letters of mine. Ken Kelly. Rocksteady, Casablanca. All right. So, Lydia Criss and I both agreed that is the singular greatest front-to-back hand-drawn album cover in the history of album cover art. That's not to take away from some really great, some incredible album covers out there. But I would agree with Lydia Criss, and Lydia Criss would agree with Jorge Estrada, DC, MUTATIO, FORMULAE. That to me is the penultimate album cover. What an honor to have him say to me that he was fully on board with me. And then what he said afterwards. So rest in peace. On that note, I think I've covered this. I know, 42 minutes and counting. This was supposed to be a 5 to 10 minute vlog. Oh, well. I know you guys are sick of seeing me and hearing me talk. You want to hear me sing and rap. You want to hear me play drums with the ink pen on the notebook pad, which I will. Oh, look at what notebook I've got here. It's called Legacies from Ancient Rome. So, on that note, this is vlog 1. That's 1 down and 146 to go. I know, it's amazing stuff. Because the people I'm tied to and the people that are members of my team and the people that engage with me directly, then there's all that's attached to them. So what should be a 5 to 7 minute, 10 minute bullet point checklist vlog turns into a 45-minute one. What can I do? Leave all of that out? I think not. So if it ends up being more than 5 to 10 minutes, that's my goal, guys. My ideal dream vision is that each one of these vlogs is 5 to 7 minutes. At worst, 10. But if this ends up happening, then so be it. Because it's organic and it's cosmic. Okay. On that note, okay, I think that covers the title of this one. All right, guys, we got 146 left to go. Let's do this. I know I'm my hair, because my hair, I know it looks all flat and straight. It's actually all waves and locks and big. So it's uncombed, unbrushed. I've showered, I just want to get this knocked out. And I don't want to go through having to gut through my my locks and waves and shampooing and blow drying and doing all this and all that. I just want to get this knocked out. Okay. All right. Thank you. Arrivederci.